now available in paperback. From the author of the critically acclaimed book The Man Crisis comes The Woman Crisis. Learn why so many women have become lost in their quest to have it all in The Woman Crisis. Get your copy of The Woman Crisis in paperback at Amazon.com and online booksellers today. Hannah Payne, a 25-year-old white female, was convicted on all charges in the murder of Kenneth Herring, a 62-year-old black man.
Thank you, sir. More breaking news this time out of Clayton County, where we just heard hours ago a jury return a verdict in the murder trial of Hannah Payne.
The panel deliberated for a little more than 2 hours, unanimously finding her guilty on all 8 counts.
Mr. Foreperson, if you would go ahead and read the verdict.
With regard to count 1 as to the offense of malice murder, we, the jury, find the defendant guilty.
Payne was on trial for the 2019 shooting death of 62-year-old Kenneth Herring. Police say Payne witnessed Herring leaving the scene of an accident. They say she followed him, confronted him, and then shot him several times as he sat in his car. During the trial, Payne painted a different picture of what happened, claiming she never intended to shoot Herring.
That's right. So just yesterday, she took to the stand in her own defense, claiming Herring actually grabbed her during a struggle, and it was possible that he pulled the trigger himself. Now, you're going to hear from Herring's youngest sister just moments after tonight's verdict, saying their family had faith the truth would prevail.
It was very tough, but we remained composed. We had faith in the system. We knew the state had a strong case. They did what they said they were going to do. They supported us the whole way. They presented facts, not fiction, and that's what the jury heard.
Now, following tonight's verdict, the next step is Payne will learn her fate. Right now, sentencing is set for this Friday, December 15th.
Now, back in May of 2019, 25-year-old Hannah Payne allegedly saw 62-year-old Kenneth Herring allegedly run a red light and hit an 18-wheeler tractor trailer. And after seeing Kenneth Herring allegedly get into this accident, Hannah Payne decided to go into action. However, Hannah Payne wasn't looking to be a good citizen. No, what she was looking to do was take the law into her own hands. And as she looked to take the law into her own hands, Hannah Payne decided to get into her vehicle with a loaded firearm and decided to follow Kenneth Herring as he was driving away. And as she decided to follow Kenneth Herring, she contacted 911 to report the accident and said that she was continuing to pursue Kenneth Herring, even though the 911 operators told her she did not need to go and continue her pursuit. However, Hannah Payne continued to continue her pursuit and followed Kenneth Herring, I believe, all the way to his home, where she decided to go and confront him regarding the alleged accident he had with this 18-wheeler when he ran the red light, allegedly. And as Hannah Payne got into a confrontation with Kenneth Herring, this is where she possibly pulled this firearm on Kenneth Herring. And as she pulled this firearm on this 62-year-old man, this 25-year-old woman got into a possible struggle with Kenneth Herring, which led to Kenneth Herring being shot and winding up losing his life. And as a result of this incident, Kenneth Herring wound up passing away because of Hannah Payne's overzealousness. Now, this entire incident between Hannah Payne and Kenneth Herring had a lot of people making comparisons to the incident between Trayvon Martin and George Zimmerman in Florida, and had many pundits calling Hannah Payne the female George Zimmerman. And they called her the female George Zimmerman because, like George Zimmerman, what Hannah Payne did was disregard the instructions of the 911 operator to not engage. And what she did was escalate a situation regarding a traffic accident into a homicide which led to the death of Kenneth Herring. Now, the verdict, as I see it, basically is the one that was right as related to this case, because it's clear to me that Hannah Payne did act as related to this incident with malice of forethought, and I believe she had malice of forethought because here was a black man who she believed had the audacity to break the law as related to her perception of reality. Now, in my book, The Woman Crisis, I talk about how many women out here live in a rose-colored reality and how they want to have a smooth world. And Hannah Payne's smooth world was basically shattered when this black man had the audacity to run a red light and hit this tractor trailer and get into this accident and have the audacity to drive away. And because she felt that this man basically violated the law as related to her smooth world, she thought that she was going to go out here and take the law into her own hands by going to allegedly detain Kenneth Herring with her own brand of justice. And this is the reason why Hannah Payne basically willfully and intentionally continued to follow Kenneth Herring. I believe basically racially profiling him, because I believe if a white man were to get into that exact same accident, I don't believe Hannah Payne would have gotten into her vehicle to go and follow a white man, because under the system of white supremacy, she knows that there would be penalties and consequences for following that white man and violating the unwritten and written social rules of white supremacy, which would have given that white man a pass for getting into that accident. And in that case, she basically would have followed police procedure as related to being a witness. And what she would have done in the case of a white man was basically get that license plate, then turn around and let law enforcement go out here and do their job as related to an investigation. Because since it was an auto accident, all they had to do was go out here and collect the evidence as related to photos of the smashed 18-wheeler. And there were also video cameras which would have shown this car running a red light. So there was no need for Hannah Payne to go out here and participate in what I believe it was vigilante justice, because we had the evidence there, and there would have been, if there was an accident that could have been reported, this man could have easily been arrested without incident, or basically ticketed, because this was such a minor incident that what law enforcement would have done in this incident was basically just give this man a ticket and let the insurance go out here and deal with this, since there was no loss of life and no real injury to anyone. But that didn't satisfy Hannah Payne, who was caught up in her feelings about this black man having the audacity to break the law as related to her rose-colored reality and shatter her perception of a smooth world. And because this black man had the audacity to do this as related to her perception of the world, this is what triggered Hannah Payne emotionally to act, I believe, with malice of forethought, because as she saw this black man get into this accident and drive away, she basically escalated this entire situation into a violent murder of this man for absolutely no reason. And again, this is why Hannah Payne was arrested in the state of Georgia and was tried and convicted on all 8 counts, because this was a clear case of murder with malice of forethought, and it was a clear case where this white female basically escalated a minor traffic accident into a major crime and turned this into a felony homicide. Now, it remains to be seen if the state of Georgia, in establishing this legal precedent, which basically shows that a black man's life has value, in America will follow through with a proper punishment of life in prison for Hannah Payne. Now, this whole case basically, again, sets legal precedent that shows the value of a black man's life in the state of Georgia, something we didn't see over a decade ago with the case of Trayvon Martin, when George Zimmerman wound up murdering Trayvon Martin and basically got away with it due to a jury in Florida basically giving George Zimmerman a pass and creating a legal precedent that showed a black boy's life had no value. And that was reinforced by a cowardly attorney general for the U.S. in I believe whatever his name is, and Barack Obama, who didn't have the courage to go out here and pursue federal civil rights charges against George Zimmerman and properly punish him for his crime. No, because we had cowards in Washington, we had this legal precedent over a decade, but now there is a legal precedent to show that a black man's life has value and that a black man's life means something as related to the murder of Kenneth, of this man by Hannah Payne. And this whole case basically shows that a black man's life now has value, and we need to see that this will be reinforced with a proper sentence, because that's the thing that's going to show me that this case's legal precedent will have an impact, is if the judge goes out here and gives Hannah Payne the life in prison she deserves for murdering this 62-year-old man. This will show me that this is an actual case of justice, and until I see a proper sentence, I'm gonna hold off judgment as related to this case, because in this entire case, I really cannot say much as related to the case of Kenneth Herring's life as related to everything until a proper punishment is put in place, because if we don't start punishing people like the George Zimmermans and the Derek Chavins on the regular, it won't really mean anything, because the only way to send a message to these people who are a part of white supremacy, like these rogue police officers, these suburban commandos, and these Karens, is to set a hard boundary with laws that let these people know where the true line is as related to justice, and let these people know that their vigilante actions will not be tolerated by institutions of law. That is what we need in order to protect black people's rights and civil rights, is a hard line in the law where these people get serious jail time for their crimes, because once these people start getting serious jail time for their criminal behavior, what this does is send a message to the rest of these white supremacists who believe that in their minds they are heroes, that they are not going to be seen as heroes by the everyday American and the black community. No, they're going to be defined as the villains and vigilantes that they are. And we need this type of legal precedent to let these Karens, these suburban commandos, these rogue police officers, and these race soldiers, let them know that their war on black people will not be tolerated by we the people, and we the people will give them the maximum sentence when they go out here and take the life of an innocent black man like they did Kenneth Herring. And this 25-year-old woman with her extra salty tears, I have no sympathy for, because she had no sympathy for 62-year-old Kenneth Herring. Again, a man who is nearly a senior citizen. I mean, a man who possibly was a father and a grandfather. You had no regard for him as related to his life, and you escalated an entire situation that was minor and trivial, something that could have easily been handled by police officers and detectives as related to an investigation. Those police officers could have easily gone out here and gotten some information as related to the license plate, ran it down by the DMV, went to that residence and had a talk to Kenneth Herring, and possibly she would have, again, only gotten a ticket. And what would have happened was the trucking company's insurance company and his company would go out here and iron things out. But that wasn't enough for Hannah Payne, because in her world, she was all about vengeance and punishing this black man for having, again, the audacity to come by her. Because really the crime, as I see it, had nothing to do with the auto accident. It was the whole audacity of this black man basically having a vehicle driving by her, and her seeing this black man in this vehicle. She wanted to make this black man suffer, and the way she wanted to make this black man suffer was taking him out of the world for disrupting her smooth world. And that's why she belongs in a penitentiary with Bertha, Big Betty, and Lois and Eunice and the rest of the ladies, as they possibly trade her for the Little Debbie snack cakes, Raymond noodles, packets of Crystal Light lemonade, packets of Crystal Light tea, Hershey bars, snack pack puddings, off-brand lemon cookies, off-brand Oreo cookies, off-brand duplex cookies, packets of soy sauce, packets of sriracha sauce. I mean, this is where this woman needs to be, in that penitentiary, because there she'll find out how rough life is, because her smooth world is disrupted. And as she's in there with the COs and Big Betty and Bertha and Lois and Eunice and the rest of the gang, she's going to learn about the rules of the penitentiary and have a whole lifetime to think about how little she regarded the life of Kenneth Herring, and how she took her own life for granted. And had she gone out here and minded her business, she would have had her freedom. But this type of woman, I wouldn't really, again, want to be out here, because if she'll escalate a minor traffic accident into a murder, there's no telling what she'd be capable of doing. And I look at this whole case, and again, we finally got some justice as related to one of these Karens, and we finally got some justice that shows that a black man's life matters. But the thing that will be for me to really cement that whole case is seeing that this case basically winds up one where this woman gets the life in prison she deserves for taking the life of a black man. Now, if you want to see me make more videos like this, you can send a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. And if you want to learn what motivates women like this to participate in crimes like this, you can pick up my book, The Woman Crisis, on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find The Woman Crisis at other online booksellers like Smashwords, the iBookstore, Google Play, and Barnes & Noble. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and e-readers, ISIS, Revenge of the Cyber Goddess. The goddess next door takes on the threat of a deadly digital diva driven to destroy the world in this action-packed, all-new ISIS series adventure. Get ISIS, Revenge of the Cyber Goddess, featuring a bonus pin-up and the other 2 books in the Cyber Goddess saga at online booksellers everywhere today. Now available in paperback and Kindle Unlimited, ISIS, All That Glitters. The goddess next door takes on a bikini-clad bank robber in this action-packed, all-new ISIS series adventure. Get ISIS, All That Glitters in paperback and Kindle Unlimited today. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.